Well, welcome back to a special edition of Inside Indiana Business. We're on location this week from Upland Brewing Company's new wood shop in Bloomington. Did you know that Bloomington is home to 14 record labels? Secretly Canadian started more than 20 years ago out of love for underground music. Today, the company operates 4 proprietary labels, a distribution company, publishing, management, and vinyl plant with more than 100 employees worldwide. For more on Secretly Canadian's growth and for a pulse of the music scene here in Bloomington, let's turn now to co-founder Ben Swanson. Ben, welcome to the program.
Thanks for having me.
We're finding out a lot of interesting things about Bloomington and Monroe County, South Central Indiana on our trip here, and one of them is the music scene. 14 record labels. Secretly Canadian, probably the oldest, 20-plus years. Talk about how things got started.
I mean, it's a classic story where a bunch of friends and my brother got together in our dorm room and out of the college radio station out of a shared love of music.
Yeah, and it just grew from that. What was the impetus to really get that growth and to drive growth?
Necessity. I mean, you know,
right.
It was just we were lucky in that we had some early success, like really small success for us, but on a very small level with some of our early artists, and it was just really we didn't know what else to do with our lives, and so we just kept, you know, pushing at it and reinvesting in the company.
What has been important or key to growth? Because we hear a lot about, you know, how technology is changing all industries, including music. How has that impacted the independent world?
It's impacted it a lot, but I think the independent sector has been a beneficiary of a lot of the changes over the years because we tend to be the most flexible. You know, the bigger companies can't, you know, it's like moving an aircraft carrier where we just tend to be more nimble. So it's been good for us. When
you talk about Secretly Canadian, you talk about record. You're not a recording studio.
No.
But you do a lot of different things. Kind of tick off some of those things that you do on a daily basis.
Our primary business is working with our artists and really helping them find their creative vision and really facilitate that. And so, but like on a real basic level, we facilitate the recording of their records and then we market and distribute their records out into the world.
Key to growth as you look going forward, as we were talking off camera, you talked about the creativity and how important that is.
Yeah, I just think like in almost any industry these days, I mean, you look at Upland or whatever and how like, you know, how they continue to push the envelope of what they do. And like for us, it's like we're looking for artists that are really, you know, pushing culture forward and being really leveraging their creativity as much as possible. I think that's going to be the differentiator for us over other labels.
Talk about the music scene, if you will, and why Bloomington, in your mind, is a great place for your company to be.
Yeah, well, Bloomington's interesting because it's a small college town, and so it's interesting because it's in a constant state of flux. There's always a new crop of kids, for good and bad. But the good part about it is there's always like this fresh energy, and so there's never this like large incumbent that's sort of stifling innovation or anything like that, unless we're the large incumbent stifling innovation at this point. But I think that's the biggest asset to Bloomington.
And in terms of business climate, the quality of life, those kinds of things, for any business that's important. I assume it's important for Secretly Canadian as well.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of like larger city amenities here that you don't usually see in towns of 80, 100,000 people. You know, the restaurant choices are great. The music's really good. The culture is just really vibrant here that you don't necessarily see in other cities this size.
Final question for you: as you look 5, 10 years beyond, where do you see Secretly Canadian?
It's hard to see 10 years because it changed. You look 5 years ago, it's so different. You know, I mean, obviously, like streaming is still going to be huge and all that, but you know, we're just. I think for us, our core is our artists, and it's really just working as deeply with our artists as we can.
Entrepreneurial success story. Secretly Canadian co-founder Ben Swanson. Thanks for joining us, and good luck going forward.
Thanks for having me.
All right.